Can you offer any hope for the unemployed?
I think it's going to be very difficult to get it down significantly in 1983.
Drifters who strayed to London in the expectation of streets paved with gold and beacon lights that would guide them to prosperity.
He goes to the job centre. Well, where's you live? No, fix the walls. Sorry, we can't help you with a job.
There's a growing army of younger people looking for work or a new life. What they need is a secure home and a job, but often they're denied either.
The first thing that they find is that London isn't what it appears to be on television.
They've often deliberately cut all links with the past, and this makes them an easy target for exploitation by criminals or con men.
It's an increasingly violent place, particularly for young people.
Love, Tilly's here. Just through here. Thanks. Oh, hey, Peter. Sorry it comes so early.
Just give me 2 seconds. There we go.
They said there should be some cricket pants.
Well, it's February. The boys won't need them till the summer term. I'm going to see them before then, surely.
Let me get them. I'm sorry, Peter.
It's not your fault.
Thanks. Sorry again for the intrusion.
Till, hang on a minute. Look, I know you're trying to be a good friend to Carol, and I don't want you to get in the middle. It can't keep going on like this. It's crazy. Whatever happened between me and her, the boys have got nothing to do with it. Please. I miss them.
I'll speak to her.
Thank you. Morning. Anything on the overnight?
Not much. Another burglary in Wood Green, but that's about it.
Any witnesses?
Well, it was only called in half an hour ago, Gov.
Can you take a statement on your way home?
The boss, yeah?
Yep.
Gov?
Yeah.
Steve called. They found suspected human remains in Muswell Hill in a drain.
Remains?
That's what he said.
Did he give you an address?
Yes, at 23 Cranley Gardens.
Okay, if he calls again, tell him I'm on my way.
I thought you were giving up.
I am.
Mr. Captain called us in.
All right.
How do you do?
I was telling the officer I was called here last night because of a blockage. There was a lot more, but when I got back this morning, it had gone.
Could it have unblocked itself?
No way. You'd have to get in there and clear it by hand. Plus, one of the ground floor tenants heard someone rooting around here last night.
Do you know how far the blockage goes up?
About halfway, but the middle flat's unoccupied, so it must have come from the top floor flat. He's the one that reckoned it was KFC last night. But that's to be human, right?
Thank you, Mr. Catherine.
That it?
We'll contact you to come down the station for a statement.
Right.
You think he wanted a medal?
What do you reckon?
Well, let's get him down to pathology. Confirm they're human. Is he home?
At work, apparently. Job centre, Kentish Town. What do you want to do?
Well, I guess we wait.
Aye. Knew you were going to say that.
Dennis Nilson.
What?
My name is Detective Chief Inspector Peter J, and this is Detective Inspector Steve McCusker. We'd like to talk to you about your drains.
That's why the police interested in drains.
Let's talk about that upstairs, shall we?
Huh? What's this about?
Human remains have been found in the drains outside.
Right. Come on in. Don't worry, she's very friendly.
Right, don't muck me about. Where's the rest of the body?
In the cupboard.
Dennis Nilson, I'm arresting you on the suspicion of murder. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you do say may be given in evidence.
Don't let anyone up there till the pathologist gets here.
So we're talking about one body or two?
15 or 16, I think.
So, what do we know?
At least one victim. Partial remains found in a bin liner in his cupboard. A young male, judging by the torso.
Going by the smell in the flat, I'd say there were a lot more.
There's no actual evidence of 16 bodies, is there?
It's off limits till morning, too damp. We've secured the scene, but apparently we risk contamination if we go in too early.
But what he was saying in the car was pretty convincing, Gov.
Why were you talking to him in the car?
Well,
What if he says that confession was given under duress? If he's telling the truth, we're going to have the eyes of the world on us. We have to do this by the book from now on. We need him to identify the remains before we can charge him. What do you reckon?
I think we're going to get a lot more bees with honey than with vinegar.
Thank you.
Sorry for the late call, Ronnie.
No, it's okay. I'd like a few minutes with my client, if it's possible. We're doing it in there,
Yeah,
right?
I thought it'd be a bit more comfortable for everyone.
Thank you.
I'm Ronald Moss.
This evening, 2 police officers entered your flat. There they found the remains of a man. Do you want to explain that?
In what context?
How did it get there?
Have you searched the rest of the flat yet?
We're in the process of that as we speak.
You'll find more in the tea chest in my bedroom and in the turned-up drawer in my bathroom. All in all, the remains of 3 people.
In the car, you said that there was more.
I must advise my client.
195 Melrose Avenue, N2. There, you'll find the remains of 12 or 13 people dating back to 1978. Might be a relief to get this off my chest. Thank you.
Who do all these remains belong to?
I need a moment with my client.
It's okay. I'm afraid I don't remember the names.
None of them?
Well, at the time, I'd only just met them.
Where did you meet them?
All over, bars, on the street. Some I just wanted to give a meal. London can be a lonely place sometimes. A friendly face goes a long way.
So they were homeless?
Some, because of the drugs, usually. It really is a disease. It's very sad. And this bloody government does nothing for them.
Were they all male?
Aye.
How old were they?
Oh, some look younger than others. So I'm not being very helpful.
No, you're doing fine. How did you kill them?
I strangled them.
Where did these murders take place?
In my house. Mostly on my bed, to be specific.
So they came home with you willingly?
Yeah.
Were they all homosexual?
Don't remember asking them.
Are you homosexual, Mr. Nilson?
Well, for the sake of convenience, you should probably class me as homosexual. If that's actually true, I'm not so sure.
The three in Cranley Gardens, when did these murders take place?
The most recent was 3 weeks ago. The others last year, something.
You kept them for a year?
Aye.
In pieces?
No, the dissection's merely for disposal. That's the dirty platter after the feast, if you like. No, in Melrose, it was simple because it was a ground floor flat, so it was space under the floorboards for storage and sole access to a garden, and a clearance was called for. Yeah, no, I remember at Melrose when the bodies began to accumulate, I knew there'd be a smell problem, so at the weekend, I'd take up the floorboards, get blind and drunk, so I could face it, put down sort of, black plastic like a bin liner for the mess, and I'd start dissection on the kitchen floor. Now, I learned if you make an incision just below the navel, you can pretty much get everything without having to deal with the rib cage and such. And it was all trial and error.
You buried them in the garden?
No, I burnt them. I wrapped them in an old piece of carpet and I threw a tire on top to hide the smell. I took no pleasure in cutting up people or boiling heads or burning bodies. I did it because I had to. There was no more space.
How many bodies did you have in the house at any one time?
Well, I never did a stock check.
Or asked their names, it seems.
No, that I do regret. Yeah, I wish I could remember their names to tell you now. I really do.
I have to ask, why did you do this?
Well, I don't really know. I was hoping you could tell me that.
Take us through them all one by one.
Well, number 3, we had a young-looking man I picked up at Euston Station. I was out on the piss that night, drinking heavily. The next morning, he was dead on the floor. I remember bits and pieces. I don't remember any violence at all. Whilst drinking in Soho, I got into a conversation with a Scottish guy. Number 11 was a skinhead type. He had cut here, tattooed on his neck. Boasting about his toughness, about his hardness. After killing him, I just went to bed. End of day, end of drink, and end of person. The 12th was a young man came up and my legs. I can't move my legs. I'm calling it ambulance. Number 14, I made him an omelette, and he said he wanted something to eat. If it was the omelette that killed him or me, I'm not so sure, but I don't suppose omelets Leave red marks on her neck, don't they?
What do you think, Gov?
I'm thinking there's a lot of words on those pages, but not a lot of concrete evidence.
You think he's lying?
About the amount? Possibly.
I don't know, Gov. There's something... I believe him.
Well, let's get a victim's name and charge him. Right. Better update the yard.
Bring that up a bit.
What's this? This is the detective, Jay, right?
Charlotte Proctor.
You went to the press?
Well, you seemed like you didn't believe me, so I had to tell someone.
Can you confirm the remains you found were human? Detective, have you arrested Mr. Nilson yet?
Doug, I wouldn't if I were you.
How did we know? When I got there this morning, there was a journo a few doors down from Cranley Gardens with the drain guy from yesterday.
That didn't take him long, did it?
Right. Media blackout from now on, boys. They get nothing from us. Understood?
Yep.
Last thing we need is an early siege before we charge him.
Where are we at with everything else? Chris, did you search his office?
We weren't allowed to.
What do you mean?
His colleagues said they couldn't believe he would do anything like this, and if we wanted to search the office, we'd need to get a warrant.
Kidding me.
Take down one of the bags we found in his flat, and maybe that would act as a warrant.
Anything else from the lab?
Yeah, Bowen's confirmed strangulation as a cause of death.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, well, one of the pieces we took down had a ligature mark on it.
Has he been able to identify anyone?
No, not yet.
So all of this is irrelevant until he gives us a name.
He used to be a policeman.
What?
Where?
In the Met, Willesden. Left in '73.
Why did he leave?
Nothing on file. He just left.
Shit.
Are you fucking with us?
Mr. Chambers.
You're ex-police. You left that out last night.
I didn't mention it because it's not relevant.
Not relevant.
No, I wasn't doing this while I was there, so it's not relevant. Well, not at the present time, anyhow. Well, it's in nobody's interest for me to lie.
Why did you leave?
Homophobia.
A name, right now.
Mr. Nilson, you don't have to say anything.
Like I said to you last night, last one was Scottish. We said how shite Scotland was in the winter. Scottish name, Stephen. Who's Stephen?
Stephen what?
Oh, I'm sorry, I really don't remember.
I think now would be a good time to pause the interview anyway.
No, let's keep going.
Steve? Yeah. Get me a list of all Stephens reported missing from Scotland.
That's going to be a pretty long list, Gov.
That's all we got. Do it.
I've got your number, yeah.
Well, I want to help the officers and the men caught up in my mess.
Mr. Chambers, may I have a minute with my client?
As I see it, a solicitor's here to advise and facilitate my legal rights. Am I correct? Huh? Then your advice should have been to tell the detectives everything.
There's still a process, Mr. Nilson.
Mr. Moss, I won't be needing you any longer.
I don't advise this.
No, it's my final decision. It's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this mess once and for all. If you could. Please.
Mr. Chambers.
Ronnie.
Should we carry on? I was at McDonald's on the way to Oxford Street Station. He said he hadn't eaten all day. I don't know if I meant to say that. He had blonde hair. Oh. So did some of the others. Stephen, blonde hair, Scottish. I can't remember his second name.
Just take your time. Take us through it again. You went home. What happened then?
We drank, we laughed. I poured 2 large glasses of rum and coke. He said, "You don't like rum?" I said, "Well, you didn't bloody well pay for it, didn't you?" Yeah, I had a nice laugh. I mentioned Tommy, you know the album, Tommy. He said he hadn't never heard it, so I put it on. Watched as he closed his eyes and listened to it. Thought to myself, you lucky bugger, experiencing that for the first time. Yeah. I entertained no thoughts of harming him. I had nothing but concern, affection for his future and the pain of his life.
But you did strangle him?
Afterwards, I noticed that his jeans were soaked with urine. So I wanted to wash him clean, so I took his clothes off. And I remember I had difficulty with his tight, wet jeans, but soon he was sat there, he was naked in my armchair. And he'd only urinated. He obviously hadn't had a square meal in a few days. He had deep cuts on both his wrists, and they were still open. So he must have recently tried to commit suicide. And I very gently carried him through the bathroom, put talc on him, make him look cleaner. And he looked magnificent. It was like one of those Michelangelo sculptures.
We need names.
I know you do, and I'm trying, but some of them are a long time ago.
And stay with the last one.
Shed, Stephen.
It's not enough. You know that. I mean, you remember so many details. There must have been a time in the evening he told you his full name. Look, all we want to do is corroborate your claims.
It was definitely a Scottish name. I mean, we joked about that. It was Fraser or Sinclair. It was Sinclair.
You're sure?
Aye, Stephen Sinclair.
If this Stephen Sinclair was a drug addict, chances are he has a record. Record will have a photo and fingerprints. We can match those to what we found at the flat.
Well, he has given us the name. Not to mention the torso in his flat. Or can't we just charge him?
And what if he's got it wrong? Or he's playing with us? Sinclair walks into our courtroom alive and well, and there goes the credibility. You know that. No mistakes, no shortcuts. We need to be good police.
Peter, it doesn't feel right giving him the blue ribbon treatment here.
Whilst he's talking, we carry on treating him well. Understood?
Yes, Gov.
Yes, Gov. necessary to still have bleep here. It's been 2 days.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that.
She's an old dog. Sounds like she's in a lot of distress. Please, she's done nothing wrong. She doesn't deserve this.
I'll see what I can do. We won't be starting until a bit later this morning, Mr. Nilson, but Mr. J thought you might be hungry.
Kind of, thank you. Another thing, have there been any newspaper reports about me?
There was one, yes.
Well, may I have a copy?
I'll ask.
Sinclair was young.
I just turned 20. Severe personality problems. Drug abuse.
He really didn't stand a chance, did he?
Gentlemen. Pretty grim viewing, I'm afraid. Well, as you can see, the dissection has been done to a high level of skill. It was actually quite simple to decipher which parts go with which. These are from the last victim. But his head has been boiled beyond all recognition.
Can we fingerprint him?
And this last one, absolutely. The others, probably not. Too much decay. So, would you care to know the cause of death?
Strangulation.
Well, he was strangled, that's true. But in the autopsy, we discovered his lungs were filled with water, so death was due to drowning.
Where did he leave that out?
There's something else. Tests show he had hepatitis B, quite a common disease with needle-using heroin addicts, but if any police officer has been in its vicinity, they'll have to have a vaccination, I'm afraid.
Fuck's sake. Thank you, David.
Sinclair.
Dennis Nilson, I am charging you with the murder of Stephen Sinclair by drowning. You will now be taken to Melrose Avenue, where you will identify the burn site of other victims. Do you understand?
Come on.
The pressure outside.
Who?
Everyone, I think.
I'll see what's happening.
I'll go and speak to them whilst you head out the back.
No, they're out there as well.
Right, Jeff, get the hood.
No, I went under hide.
Nilson, over here! Look at the camera, please! Nilson, look over here! What are we looking at, detective? Give us a quote!
On Wednesday morning, officers were called to an address to investigate suspicious fragments found in a drain. Upon analysis, they were proved to be human, and an investigation was opened. We have now charged a man by the name of Dennis Nilson with murder.
How many people do you suspect him to have murdered?
We won't be revealing the number at this time.
Can you at least say what gender he's suspected of killing?
Men.
When did Nilson start this unusual habit?
5 years, but can you make sure you attribute the term unusual habit to Mr. Wells and not myself, please?
Inspector, how can somebody kill for 5 years without the police knowing?
We will be investigating that at the relevant time. That's all, thank you.
Sir, do you feel you're letting people of Muswell Hill down?
Oh, it's strange being back here. Remember summers here, isn't it? Bleep was a little puppy running around. We had a vegetable patch.
Where did you have the bonfires?
I'd start here if I were you.
Okay, Dennis. You're now going to be taken to Herne Hill, where you'll stay whilst you're on remand.
Not back to the station?
No, I'm afraid not. Okay, let's go.
I just spoke to some of the boys from Willesden. So they say, rumour has it, Nilson left the police because he was caught masturbating in the morgue. Makes you uneasy, don't it? How much we're relying on him to tell us the truth.
It was here, outside Hornsey Police Station, that police confirmed that Dennis Andrew Nilson has been charged with the first of what is said to be multiple murders.
On Wednesday morning, officers were called to an address.
Can you help me with this?
Suspicious fragments found in a drain.
Brian. Oh, sorry.
Upon analysis, they were proved to be human, and an investigation was opened.
What's happened? There's a multiple killer in London.
It's being reported that he was caught by the discovery of blocked drains that were filled with the remains of human flesh that Nilson
have to go to work.
down a lavatory. It is also being reported that his victims were men that Nilson had lured back to his flat on the sense of promised frivolity.
Mr. Sinclair?
Yes.
My name is Detective Chief Inspector Peter J. Are you the parent of Stephen Sinclair?
Before you say any more, officer, Stephen doesn't live here anymore. He hasn't done since he started stealing from us to fund his habit. We don't even know where he is at the moment.
Mr. Sinclair, can we come in?
Elizabeth!
A few days ago, a body was found. That body, I'm sorry to say, has now been confirmed as Stephen. A man has been charged in connection with his murder.
His murder?
I'm sorry to say, we can't give you much information at present, but we will as soon as we can. In the meantime, if there's anything that you need...
Can I see him?
I'm afraid that's not possible, Mrs. Sinclair.
But surely we need to identify him.
He's already been identified.
But how? Has somebody come in to see him? I want to see him. Maybe somebody's made a mistake.
Mrs. Sinclair, it's Stephen. I can't tell you how sorry I am to be sure of that. But you don't want to see him. Not like this.
I told him something like this would happen. But that drug, it changed him. There's nothing we could do, was there, love?
No.
He wouldn't listen to us, no matter how hard we tried. Just thought of us as a hotel, a bank, or prison.
Not now, Neil.
I'm sorry.
Brian?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Anything good?
Oh, no, not really. It's just all so salacious.
He just looks so ordinary. It's like someone you'd walk past in the street or meet in a bank.
You see, well, that's what makes the whole thing so intriguing. This dichotomy between this seemingly normal, unobtrusive civil servant and the nature of his crimes. It just seems so hard to fathom.
What's there to fathom?
Well, what makes most of us go one way with our lives and others, like Nilson, go so far in the opposite direction?
Probably because he's evil. I'm going to be late. See you tonight.
The man currently being questioned by police is a 37-year-old civil servant, Andrew Nilson, known to his colleagues at work as Des. For the past 6 months, he's been working here at the Manpower Services Commission in London's Kentish town. I understand that he's also a former policeman, having been in the force for about a year in the early 70s.
Really surprised? Where'd they get the photo from? Not us.
They probably rubbed it.
If I find out any of you tip them off about him being ex-police, I'll personally drag you to the fucking committee myself! Do you hear me? We are in blackout. That means you don't mention his name outside this station, not to your wives, your mistresses, your friends down the pub. You understand? This man killed on our patch for 4 years. We find every name and we charge and convict him with every single fucking one. He gets away with nothing. Get rid.
Come in. This gentleman's here about Nilson. He wants to talk to you, Gov.
What can I do for you?
Dennis Nilson tried to kill me.
Where did you meet him?
Pub, the Golden Lion. It's Dean Street, Soho. But I'm not gay.
No, of course.
He was with a group of people who I assume were his friends. After last orders, he said we should go back to his for a drink. I thought he meant all of us, but it was only the two of us that went. I must have passed out because when I came to, he tied my ankles together with his tie and he was strangling me with mine. I managed to fight him off and get him to the ground. He then started screaming, take my money, take my money, like I was the one attacking him.
Sorry, when was this?
3 years ago. I put it to the back of my mind. Moved on. And when I saw his face in the newspaper, it all came back.
Why didn't you go to the police at the time?
I did. Straight away. They took me back there. They were there for 5 minutes. I spoke to Nilson and bought his story that it was a lover's tiff. It wasn't something they wanted to be around. They even apologised to him for wasting his time. Sent me on my way.
Okay, you're just gonna have to go from the beginning. Leave nothing out.
So how many of these has he written to you?
Well, the fourth came today. And there's a poem in the last one.
Lives of sorrow, bones of the dead, given by the sea to fitful head. It's so sensitive.
Well, quite. You wouldn't think by reading that this man strangled young men and then disposed of them down the lavatory, would you?
How is the prison allowing you to meet him?
He said he'd put me on the visitors list, although they're probably not aware that I'm a writer.
Well, aren't you frightened?
No, he's hardly going to jump over the desk and strangle me, is he?
No, but still. Do you think you'll shake his hand?
No, I shouldn't think so.
Name?
Brian Masters to see Dennis Nilson.
Find is okay. You smoke, Brian?
Yes, I do.
You smoke as many real fags in this room as you like, yeah? Out there, you're only allowed tobacco, so... Yeah. They say capital punishment's dead, but Her Majesty manages to find her little ways, you know? Yes. I read your book, Brian. The Dukes. Origin, Ennoblement, and the History of 26 Families. Are you from aristocracy?
No. No, I'm not.
You're from that kind of world, though, eh? I bet you're a bloody Tory.
I'm not sure that's entirely relevant.
I'm not entirely sure of your intentions as of yet. Yeah? Your letters sounded genuine, but now we're sat opposite each other. I worry. I have judged myself more harshly than any casual observer, any court ever could.
Aren't you the one judging me, Mr. Nilson?
How's that?
Oh, you hear my accent and you assume that you know everything about me.
No, I'm simply stating it's obvious where you come from. It's not a bad thing. I just like to know where I stand with the person I'm talking to.
Well, I was brought up on the Old Kent Road.
You don't sound like you were brought up on the Old Kent Road.
Well, I was lucky. I got an education.
Ah, is that where the accent comes from, is your education, is it?
I was under the impression that I was here to discuss writing a book about you. I'm really not that interesting.
Why would you want to write about a monster like me?
You do consider yourself to be a monster?
Well, have you read the paper?
Of course.
It totally amazes me that people's attraction to the macabre. Because all of us have skeletons rattling around in our cupboards, you know? Secrets they would never dare to tell to anyone. So what comes is this flood of self-righteous public condemnation, whilst simultaneously everybody's talking about it over and over and over. They're consuming it and indulging in it, but at arm's length.
I'm
which
not
is all
here
very
to do
well,
that.
but meanwhile, I'm left here to rot, whilst others make profits at my expense.
Well, listen, if you want some money from this, I'm sure that we can come to some arrangement.
I don't want a penny for ass. I just don't want those poor men exploited.
Well, I'm not here to exploit you or those 17 young men that you murdered.
15 was 15. Wasn't 17, it was 15. See, now, if you're going to get your information from those red-top fuckers telling lies about me every day, we might as well say goodbye now, Brian. I have a responsibility for my story and theirs to be told correctly.
Well, I also have that responsibility. Now, I have no want to write some two-bit horror novel, ghoulish adjectives. I'm not here to elaborate or expose or excuse. I'm here to comprehend, because the law cannot comprehend, beyond the question of guilty or innocent.
And how do you propose to do that?
By listening. I want to know about your upbringing, your Teenage years, your time in the army. All of it. Because only by doing that do we get the whole picture, Mr. Nilson.
I must warn you, Brian. You will find a full inquiry into my life and deeds distressing.
I'm aware of that.
Well, I pass the burden of my past and deeds onto your shoulders. Make sure you bring an extra pack of fags next time, man. Please call me Des.
Mr. Nilson has confessed to killing 15 men, mostly homeless and vulnerable, over a period of 5 years. We're now in the process of confirming that number. We're also aware that there are up to 7 attempted murders. So we ask anybody who may have visited 195 Melrose Avenue from December 1978 to 1981, or 23 Cranley Gardens from 1981 to February this year, to please call Hornsey Police Station on the number behind me. If you know of anybody that's gone missing, sons, brothers, fathers, uncles, nephews, cousins, friends, please contact us, because we need your help.
Okay, questions, please. Yes, Tim.
How many of the victims have you identified so far?
Well, other than Stephen Sinclair, we won't be naming any more of the victims until official charges have been brought against Mr. Nilson.
Charlotte.
How likely is it that you'll identify all 15 of his victims?
Well, we're still in the process of assessing and analysing the evidence.
So, still serving?
Yes, I understand. We are absolutely certain he killed only Mel.
His father recognised the knives on the television, gave them to him as a gift for starting chef school. But according to him, his son never turned up on the first day of class, and he hasn't seen him since May 1980, which would match Nilson's dates for his third victim.
Next step.
Well, Nilson's requested a visit, so I'll take the photo with me and get him to confirm.
Requested a visit?
Yeah. I'm hoping he's remembered some more names.
How are you coping?
Oh, good. We're trying to get through the 8,000 missing persons reports. No, I'm good, thanks. We need more manpower, but you know that.
I'm still trying. What's going on with John the Guardsman?
Haley's checking all the guardsmen called John.
He's been on that for a few weeks.
And there's 256 of them. Gonna take some time, but he'll find him. Speaking of which, we think we might have another lead. Lodge found 3 dental plates in the dig at Melrose. One of them is only made in Germany, so he thinks if he can go over there...
To Germany?
He can narrow it down and probably come up with another name. God, look, I know it's a long shot, but if we get another name, it's got to be worth it, right?
There's talk from the yard. As far as they're concerned, they already have him on 3 counts of murder.
We told the press last week we think it's 15.
Why do you think we're still active? I'm just warning you. We need to start closing the leads we already have, not opening new ones, especially in different countries. They're nervous about how much this is costing already.
Oh, so this is about money?
Everything is always about money, Peter. You've just got to be smart.
No wonder that half of Category A is on hunger strike. Might well join them just to break the monotony.
No.
Well, let me tell you. It's perfectly feasible to be on normal rations in here and still effectively remain on hunger strike. I don't even know why I'm Category A in the first place. I'm hardly going to escape, commit suicide.
Des.
The help I'm giving the police should be rewarded, not punished.
Let me see what we can do.
You said that before.
Martin Duffy. Is he one of them?
Yeah, of course. Martin. Yeah, he was number 3. One I told you about that I met at Euston Station. Any more?
Hopefully soon. You said that you had some more information for me, or was that just so you could talk about your living situation?
No, I'd never do that. Any news about Bleep? Just I've heard nothing about it since I got in here.
I'll call the dogs home. See what I can find out.
I actually have another name for you. Yeah, one of the young men at Melrose Avenue. I just woke up, his name was just there. Kenneth Ockenden.
Ockenden? You're 100% sure? Kenneth Ockenden?
Yeah. The Canadian lad was all over the news when he went missing.
Wait, did you hold his name back from us?
No, why would you say that? I want these people identified and laid to rest just as much as you do, Mr. J. Yeah, I'm certainly trying to tell the truth.
But he can't have.
Why not?
Because Ockenden was investigated for 3 years. Right? They found nothing. What are you thinking?
Well, we're going to request the files and treat it as a murder investigation. What's the problem?
I know some of the guys, Peter. Right, Ockenden was a difficult case for them. And the press weren't exactly kind when they couldn't find him.
Right, Steve, request the files.
Can I tell Martin Duffy's dad? I made him certain promises when he first came forward.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, boss, you might both want to hear this. Someone's just caught saying he's Nilson's biographer.
Eh?
Yeah. He asked if we can tell him anything about the investigation or the arrest.
No, look, that's just a rag trying to get a quote. If they call back, tell them to piss off.
Gladly.
Steve, let me know when you get the files.
Kenneth Ockenden, Canadian tourist, left his hotel in King's Cross December 3rd. Was meant to meet his uncle on the 5th to collect some money for a plane home for Christmas. He was never seen again.
What? And Nilson's only just remembered this?
Nilson says he met him in a West End pub. They talked about his camera, they spent the day sightseeing. That night, he strangled him with a headphone cord as Ockenden listened to music in Melrose Avenue. He disposed of his body in the garden, as per, so we're currently looking for any signs of him in the dig. Now, look, we all hope that we find something at Melrose, but until we do, these files are they're our best shot. Now, look, I know you all think you might know about this case because of the media coverage, but we can't half-ass this. Nilson is in there. Somewhere.
Have you finished? I tell you explicitly not to open any more leads, and you open Kenneth bloody Ockenden. Ockenden's mother had links to the Canadian Parliament. His disappearance became political. So you can imagine the Yard's reaction to you making it a murder inquiry with a serial killer as the suspect.
Nilson says he killed him, Gov.
Of course he did. He'd say anything to stay in the papers. Ockenden doesn't fit the victim profile, Peter. He wasn't homeless or an addict. He wasn't even gay. He had a girlfriend back in Canada.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Then why did he go home with him? What evidence have you found? You want us to tell his family that a boy the police couldn't find for 3 years was actually killed by a former copper, and you don't have any physical evidence?
When's he ever lied to us before?
I've been trying to help you. Get you the money to support you need to close this case. But you went behind my back and made us look like a bunch of amateurs. You better be right about this.
The gruesome search continues at 195 Melrose Avenue for what police now believe are dismembered remains that have been in a garden for 3 years or more.
All day, detectives and forensic science experts have been taking the bones for examination in a laboratory.
We found a small piece of jaw and some teeth attached to it in the rear garden, and this morning I found a significant amount of human bones.
And what we brought in, a big percentage of them turned out to be animal bones. But of those that are definitely human, we estimate we have between 8 and 20 different victims.
Are any of them from Ockenden?
No. But a lot of them we couldn't analyse due to fire damage.
Did we manage to identify anyone from them?
Yeah, I'm afraid not.
There must be some more tests we can do.
I know it's not the news we hoped for, but it was always going to be a long shot considering the amount of time passed and the astute method of disposal. I'd say we were fortunate to get Martin Duffy.
But you said there could be as many as 20?
Well, as I say, it's an estimate, but it's certainly a possibility. I'll give you gentlemen a minute.
Thank you.
We need to retest the headphones found at Cranley Gardens.
No, Peter. All Ockenden is doing is sending us up a bunch of blind alleys. We may need to move on from him. You heard what he said. Possibly 20 victims. Which means Nilson may have been lying to us from the very start. I'll call it in.
Made something for you. It's all jumbled in no special order, but I figured you're the artist. Only you know what's important, how to select it, so.
What made you draw these?
Nostalgia, I suppose.
I thought you told the police that you didn't remember your victims.
No, their names, no, but it doesn't mean I don't remember our time together. I took him up on, I think, maybe 4 occasions, the following 2 weeks.
And what did you do when you brought him up?
Well, his naked body fascinated me. So I'd roll him onto his stomach, roll him onto his back, touching him, stroking him. I was thrilled that I had full control, ownership over this beautiful body.
So control was the motivation?
Nothing's ever about one thing, Brian. Sometimes I'd put them in the other armchair next to mine while I'd watch an evening's television. I'd look over and imagine what we'd be talking about if he could speak. And then other times, you know, I couldn't actually believe this was happening and this was my life, but death gives no refunds. So. We spend so much time talking about me, I feel like hardly know anything about you. I don't even know if you're married.
No. But I do have my emotional attachments. Okay, maybe a more simpler question. Do you remember when you first became aware of death?
I grew up in a fishing village, Brian, so death surrounds you when the sea's involved. That and the poverty. I saw my grandfather's corpse when I was 6-year-old.
How did he die?
At sea. He was a fisherman. And they brought his coffin back to the house. It was normal back then. And my mother woke me up and said, "You want to see your granddad?" I went in the living room and he was there in a box.
How did they explain that?
Well, I didn't.
You didn't know that he was dead?
No, he just said he was sleeping. After he left, the mystery of death, it always fascinated me. Sometimes I'd put talc on my face, paint my lips blue, and poke my eyes till they were bloodshot, and just look in the mirror.
To make yourself seem dead?
Aye.
And was this by yourself, or with somebody else there?
Both.
What would you do then?
Sit and stare. Imagining the abyss as I touched them. And myself in my own dead image.
So this is about sex?
No, you keep looking for these simple answers, but you debase it to make it purely about that.
Well, I'm not trying to simplify anything, but you did have sex with these young men after they had died.
No, I did not. Did I enjoy them? Yes. Did I gain some satisfaction from looking at their naked bodies next to mine in the mirror? I didn't penetrate them. Look, the wicked thing that I did was to squeeze the life out of a human being. That was wrong. That was unforgivable. I will be properly punished for it. What I did to a corpse is neither here nor there. Brian, if you're more disgusted with what I did to a corpse than what I did to a living man, then your moral system is upside down and needs overhauling.
Right. I didn't intend to judge you. Let's go back to your childhood. Did you have many friends at school?
I'm glad we're doing this, Brian.
Me too.
Well, nice to be listened to. Makes me feel human again. All he's treating me like a criminal.
Well, do you not consider yourself to be a criminal?
How I consider myself is obsolete. I deserve the right to be treated as innocent until proven guilty, not have to wear the clothes of a convicted felon whilst I wait for my day in court. Surely you can see that.
We're sorry about the result of the dig. We all share your disappointment.
Thank you. It was a blow, but we have other points of inquiry we're now investigating.
There's been a development. Turns out that Nilson's been getting regular visits from a biographer. Apparently his letter got through the prison censors and they'd been meeting for a number of weeks. Our fear here is that it's only a matter of time before the victims' identities, and especially one as well known as Ockenden, become public knowledge. Therefore, we feel we need to inform his family.
We're still looking for confirmation on Ockenden, sir.
The only reason we've been patient up until now was the hope that the dig would give us something to tie Ockenden to Melrose. But it's been a month.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but if we had more men and the word processor I've requested again and again...
Peter, there is nothing I would like more than to find Ken and to bring anyone who harmed him to justice. But if we don't have any evidence
We'll
by
find
now...
the evidence.
I admire your confidence. But this investigation is beginning to harm the reputation of the Metropolitan Police. We've only just repaired the damage done by the riots.
How are we damaging its reputation?
Because people are starting to ask why this is all taking so long.
Do you know how an investigation works?
Peter, wait for me outside.
What the hell was that? Not top brass care more about their reputation than finding these men.
Oh, grow up. You're not the only one who cares about this case. Let me give you some advice, Peter. Toe the fucking line.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I don't mind holding while you find out.
What's going on?
Healy thinks he's got John.
I don't bloody jinx it, Steve. All the guardsmen were accounted for, so we were screwed, basically. It's back to square one. I went to see the West End branch, asked them if they knew any Johns from Wickham that frequented Soho. After giving me a load of grief about the Ockenden case, they threw me a name. John Howlett. Ne'er-do-well, in and out of different homes as a kid, well known on the streets of Soho. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
But now we're just checking the blood type from the remains in Cranley.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we deserve a bit of luck, don't you? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. We got a match.
Great work, Chris.
Why do you think Nilson said he was a guardsman?
I've got no idea.
Right, first round's on me. You coming?
I'll be there in a bit. Just got to finish up here first.
Thought you were all down the pub. You, looking for anything in particular?
Kenneth Ockenden.
Oh, well, you're not going to find him in there. That's the Cranley Gardens look.
Did we fingerprint the camera?
We did.
What about the books we found?
Yeah, all the covers.
But not the pages?
How'd you touch the pages, not the covers?
There's just a few books that might give us something. The photography book, the London Guide, things like that. The A to Z?
Gov, is this a good use of time? I'll see what I can do. Can he harm us?
I don't see how.
What do you think they'd talk about?
I don't even want to know.
Keep her there. Gov, woman at the front desk thinks her ex-partner might be a possible victim.
Cheers, Griff.
Yeah, he's on his way down. Great.
He went missing about a year ago. Last time I saw him, he came round to the house. We'd been separated a few months. Said he wanted to spend more time with Shane. I knew he was just there for the money, so he'd go down to Soho and score. We had an argument that day and he left. And I haven't seen him since. A week after that, he had a court date, which he missed. And he always attended court no matter what. So I went down to Job Centre. They told me he hadn't signed on, so then I rang his solicitor. And they told me to wait a while and that he'd show up. I knew. And then I saw you on the news, and even though I know Graham wasn't bent, just something kept turning in my gut.
Not all of his victims were gay. Some just needed a bed or some food. Do you have a photo?
Yeah.
So he had a criminal record?
Of course. Almost wore it as a badge of honour, you know, him against the system. I just need to know what happened. I know he's been a bit of a shit, but he's Shane's dad.
DCI Peter J to see Dennis Nilson. I need you to identify some photos.
How's Bleak?
Well, you made it pretty busy for me the last time I was here, Des. I haven't had a chance to find out about your dog. Graham Allen and John Howlett, a.k.a. John the Guardsman. Although he wasn't a guardsman, was he? He was just another young man finding his way on the streets of Soho.
I am sick of helping people who take advantage of my good nature. I think I'm deserving of some more balance.
What, like with your biographer? Did you kill these men? How many people did you kill in Melrose Avenue? Did you kill Kenneth Ockenden?
If I hadn't wanted you to, you wouldn't have found me. So why would I lie to you now?
Look at the photos.
I've been convicted of no crimes as of yet, therefore I am innocent until proven guilty.
Where is this coming from?
In category A, like some kind of dangerous criminal.
Look
what am I
at
gonna
the
do?
photos
I'm gonna
and tell me if
escape,
you've killed these men.
intimidate a witness.
Yes.
I'm your only witness.
This man has a 7-year-old son. Do the right thing and look at the fucking photos. Did you kill this man?
No comment.
Because yes, we deliver.
Leaving the drama behind with Sayat.
Detective Chief Inspector Peter J.
Brian Masters.
Drink?
No, thank you.
You found it all right then?
Oh, yes, no trouble at all.
Good. So, how long have you been writing?
About 15 years. You? I mean, how long have you been a policeman?
Nearly 23 years. How many books have you written about people like Nilson?
Well, this is my first.
Then, let me give you some advice. Walk away.
Well, with all due respect, Mr. J, I didn't approach this naively.
Well, why approach it at all? I mean, you think you can understand these things he did?
I'm not sure that understanding is useful here. The term is emotional, and more often than not, it leads to answers that are indicative of our own prejudices. It's not about understanding, it's about comprehending.
Isn't that the same thing?
Humans kill. It's in our nature, out of fits of rage or jealousy or self-defense. But to kill so many men without any real reason, I think it's important that we try to comprehend why this happened and how this person came to pass.
I need you to tell us everything that Nilson's told you about the identities of his victims.
Well, I don't have any more information than you already have.
Well, you've been talking for months.
We talk about other things.
Such as?
Well, his childhood, his time in the army.
Oh, was he killing in the army?
No.
How often have you been visiting him?
Once, twice a week.
When's the last time you saw him?
4 days ago.
And he wrote to you?
No, I wrote to him. I'm not really sure why we're here.
Nilson is no longer helping us with our investigation.
Since when?
What, he didn't tell you? Has he ever mentioned Kenneth Ockenden?
Did he kill Kenneth Ockenden?
I didn't say that. If he mentions any names, you have a duty to report them to us.
No, it's not as simple as that.
But that in the course of justice is very simple.
If you're suggesting that I had anything to do with retracting his cooperation, then you are gravely mistaken, Mr. J. And if you wish to take this conversation any further, then maybe I should telephone my solicitor.
If you wanted to write a book about Nilson, you should have come to us first. We'd have given you the real story. But you're also fucking fascinated by him, aren't you?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ever since I've come to this hell on earth, I have been disrespected, abused, humiliated. I have done nothing but help an investigation for which I've not yet been convicted. Nobody cares about my years of public service. My work with the unions, that goes unnoticed.
Why didn't you mention Kenneth Ockenden?
You've spoken to Mr. J, I see.
Yes, he contacted me.
Yeah. I didn't mention Ken because he's the one I regret. The day we spent together was so happy. I was the happiest I'd been all year. Unlike the others, his death was a kind of cruel and horrid parody of what could have been.
Well, do you not feel any guilt or remorse?
Why? They live with me in my cell, Brian. All of them. How do I feel remorse when I've taken those pains into myself?
Oh, that's obscene.
Look, I'd give anything for any one of them to walk in here right now and shoot me dead. But the sad fact is they had to die to get attention for their plights because the public pious aftercare comes too late. And when this is all over, the Des Nilsons and the Stephen Sinclairs and the Martin Duffys of this world will still stagger along unnoticed and alone because society is more interested in death than it is in life.
But these people that you mentioned, they weren't Kenneth Ockenden. You say so yourself. So what was it that made you kill Kenneth Ockenden?
It was... They were all my type.
Simple as that.
I once strangled and drowned a young man, and then when he was lying on the bed, I noticed bleep licking his face. He was still alive. So I resuscitated him. And he was very confused when he came to. He didn't know what had happened. And he was there for days, me taking care of him. And then, when he was well enough to leave, I took him up to the Highgate station and we arranged to meet again the week after. Well, the week after came and went, and he never came back. Perhaps he should have stayed in my flat.
The thought of them leaving triggered the impulse.
Everybody leaves. Friends, colleagues, boyfriends, they all disappear eventually. My grandfather, my great hero and protector, was the only person that I ever loved. Seeing my grandfather in that box, all my troubles started there. See, it blighted my personality permanently. That's why I did all these things. That and the booze and the music whipped me up in a sort of frenzied fantasy that brought the devil in the darkness. But without that, I'm harmless.
No, Des, no. It is not your place to make objective reasons why you did these things, especially with this spurious logic.
Whose place isn't it? Is it yours?
No, this book cannot be a subjective look at your life and your actions. We both of us, we must remain objective. And if there are any lessons to be learned, it is up to the reader to decide, not us. All these ruminations and hypotheses may be very helpful to you, but it can't be the end of the road. That's not what I'm here for.
Brian, will you do me a kindness? I need to find out about my dog. Will you do that for me?
Yes, I'll see what I can do.
Peter, gotta come see this.
Right, Gov. We got a partial print off the A to Z, which ain't Nilson's. Looks like Ockenden's. You sure?
Thank you.
Peter, this is Commander Lockwood. You know Russell.
Good to meet you, sir.
Peter, I'd like to congratulate you. Although we were all understandably skeptical at first, Ockenden is a huge weight off this force.
Thank you, sir. Wasn't the easiest one for us, but it shows we're getting through it.
Well, obviously these things can't last forever. And upstairs feel that confirming Ockenden is a natural place to wrap things up. Therefore, a decision has been made. We're going to charge him with 6 murders and bring the investigation to a close.
Sir, if I may, I think this is a mistake. We have leads which I'm sure will bring us more names. A woman called Leslie Mead has come forward. We suspect her ex-partner might be a victim.
Detective, we've spent a fortune on your team's overtime alone.
6 murders. He never gets out.
Charging him with 6 is a joke.
Peter,
No, but Gov.
the decision has been made.
Please, sir, if I may. There are at least 9 families who will never get closure if we stop now. We just need more time and we'll find all 15, I'm sure of it.
But we're not even sure he killed 15, are we? And now that he's stopped talking to us, perhaps we'll never know. No. It's time for you and your team to move on, Peter. I'm sure your families will be very happy to see you.
Can I have everybody's attention? Scotland Yard have just given the orders to shut us down and to charge him with the 6 we've got. I can't tell you how proud I am of this team and of the work that we've done together over the past 4 months. 6 we found. Well, that's the kind of police work you can't just do from behind a desk. You're a credit to yourselves and each other. Thank you.
Order sack. Because yes, we deliver.
Leaving the drama behind with Sayat.
Nilson, a 37-year-old civil servant, was arrested and charged after human remains were discovered at 2 properties in North London. He has now been committed to trial for 6 charges of murder and 2 attempted murders. The former police officer is due to appear in court later this week, where he is expected to plead guilty on all charges.
Peter.
Steve.
No, get you anything.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
I'll leave you to me.
Thanks, love.
How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. What do you got?
It's about the Nilson case. Of the remains found in Cranley Gardens, one of the jaw bones had scars on both sides of the jaw due to a fracture.
Take a seat, mate.
Graham Allen had his jaw broke in a fight. It's in his record.
What? That doesn't necessarily mean it's Alan.
So Bowen goes to Alan's odontologist. Finds a denture that he had made but never picked up to fit the jaw. Graham Allen is the 3rd victim of Cranley Gardens.
When he came round to the house that day, the last thing that I said to him was, I hope that you never come back.
He'd have known you didn't mean that.
Would you? Would he have felt any pain?
I don't think so. Leslie, you know we've already charged Nilson. That indictment's already been written up and processed.
What are you saying?
We can't add Graham's name to the list of Nilson's victims.
But you just said that he killed him.
He did. But the court has a time limit to add names. And that passed a few days ago.
So Graham doesn't get any justice?
I'm afraid not. Gov called me when I was on leave. Said that our squad was being seriously considered for a commendation. I think he thought it would make me feel better, but all it did was make me more angry. You got 2 kids? Right, sorry, Steve, I should know that.
4. 2 boys, 2 girls.
Linda wants another. Well, I mean, our first, another for me.
You not so much?
Well, I'd like to. I've already fucked it up 4 times.
This job does that.
How are the boys?
I haven't seen them for a while.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Peter.
We should have stopped him, Steve.
We caught him first chance we could.
We should have known.
No, sometimes it's just not possible. I mean, he had a normal life, a normal job. You going to the committal hearing?
Yeah. You?
Aye. Yeah, I can't wait for it all to be over.
Do you know that he was the one that wrote the letters about the blocked drains? Told his landlord he wouldn't pay rent until they were cleaned. I mean, this whole thing has always been to Nilson's script.
Brian?
Hello.
A dog's home called for you. They said further to your inquiry, Nilson's dog has been put down.
He asked me to find out about his dog. That's all. I need to get him to trust me. Otherwise, all this is for nothing.
So what, now you're doing errands for him?
Oh, come on. Someone who knows our world, our community, needs to write this. Otherwise, they'll get it wrong. I mean, they'll fuck it up. They already are. Please try and understand.
Just make sure it's not him who's writing it.
Inspector, having spent so much time with Nilson, can you tell us, what is he really like?
Unremarkable.
What makes you say that?
Just 6 positive IDs and takes you. How does that make you feel?
Don't be surprised, Brian.
Hello there, Des. How are you doing?
I can't complain if I did who'd listen.
Des, Bleep was put down by the dachshund. She became ill not soon after you'd been arrested, and they thought that it would be kinder that way.
She forgave me everything and never let me down. And in the moment of her greatest crisis, I wasn't there for her. How's the book progressing?
It's coming along very well, thank you. I'm currently writing about your experiences in Aden.
Another place the British Army should never have been. And when they came to get me, I thought you were my solicitor.
Solicitor, I thought you dispensed with your legal aid.
Change is the only constant in life. Who said that?
Heraclitus.
Yeah, a solicitor. This one has a tax-deductible heart, but needs must, you know.
Right, I'll see you up there.
I do want to thank you, Brian.
For what?
Your company.
All right.
Dennis Andrew Nilson. On count 1 of this indictment, you are charged with the murder of Stephen Sinclair. How say you? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count 2, you are charged with the murder of Kenneth Ockenden. How say you? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count 3, you are charged with the murder of John Howlett. How say you? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Dennis Nilson is charged with murdering Kenneth Ockenden, Martin Duffy, William Sutherland, Malcolm Barlow, John Howlett and Stephen Sinclair. He's also accused of attempting to murder Douglas Stewart and Paul Nobbs. As each of the 8 charges were read out, the defendant was asked, "How say you, Nilson? Are you guilty or not guilty?" 8 times in a firm voice he replied, "Not guilty." But is Nilson guilty of murder, or is he guilty only of manslaughter?
I don't understand.
It's quite simple. I haven't spoken to my solicitors, my barrister, learned people from the psychology profession. I'm not sure if I'm guilty.
What, on what grounds? In all the months that we've been talking, you've not mentioned a plea of insanity once.
Not insanity, no. Diminished responsibility. But am I mad? I don't know. Madness, as Quixote said, madness is seeing life as it is and not as it should be.
You murdered those men, Des. And you knew what you were doing.
Did I? I don't deny taking their lives. You know, I must wear the label of a killer. Maybe I should be hanged for it. But I didn't plan them. Never. I took them home with much purer intentions, and then I'd wake up, they'd be sat there dead. Now, no one feels the weight of that more than me, but the power of responsibility at that time was nil. Yeah, I look in the mirror, I just see me, yeah? Just me. It's friendly, helpful, responsible me. Just there.
If this was true, then why didn't you go to the police after the first time it happened?
Don't you think I contemplated that, Brian? Eh? Don't you think I wanted to hand myself in? Or to end it all? You know? But then, survival. Shame. And the future makes you promise yourself It'll never happen again till it does. But, yeah, I mean, had it not been for the dog, I might well have surrendered myself. All I know is I don't know, and thus a jury needs to decide.
The press will be allowed to publish every word spoken in court, every single detail exposed.
Is that not what you're doing?
Well, I'm not exploiting these young men's tragedies to sell newspapers.
No, you're just exploiting me.
I hope you know me better than that.
I just want to get to the truth. Don't you?
Peter, you know Mr. Green, QC?
Alan, please. I hear he's got the craze brief.
And Ivan Lawrence as QC. It's a formidable defense team, to say the least.
Please, take a seat. I take it their angle's diminished responsibility?
Didn't wash with Sutcliffe. The jury won't buy it.
Sutcliffe didn't watch TV with the bodies.
Nilson's not insane.
They don't have to prove that. All they have to do is show that he was suffering some abnormality of mind and therefore not fully responsible for what he was doing. We, on the other hand, have to prove that these crimes were carefully planned and premeditated.
Surely his confessions do that.
I'm afraid the confessions only take us so far.
What do you mean?
We gave you a lot of answers which prove what he did, but not what mind he was in when he did it. He gave you exactly what he wanted to. You hardly asked him any probing questions about what was on his mind.
Hold on. We didn't want him to suddenly stop talking. We needed to identify 15 people.
I understand that, but the effect was that he gave you a lot of details that aren't going to help us convict him.
I'm sorry, are you saying he planned this?
We'll never know, but if all we have are the confessions, then that's not going to be enough. We need more. Much more.
Should have pushed for motive.
Don't listen to Green. Everybody always thinks they're a better copper than a copper. If he'd have stopped talking, there's no way we'd have found the people we did. Listen, they're just looking for someone to blame if this all goes pear-shaped. But we're gonna make damn sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks for meeting me.
Please, take a seat. I almost didn't come.
But you did. Because you know this is wrong. I take it he's written to you over the past few months?
Oh, he has.
How much?
52 exercise books worth.
Well, we're going to need to take a look at them. That could be useful to prove premeditation.
Mr. J.
All that matters is that we find as much evidence as we can that Nilson was in his right mind.
Now, what if he's insane?
You think he's insane?
Well, it's not for me to decide.
He's not mad. He knew what he was doing was wrong.
Well, I don't deny that. But at the same time, he was able to take the head of someone he'd known, the severed head, into a cooking pot on the stove and let it simmer overnight. And then the next morning, he was able to pour himself a cup of coffee and butter a slice of toast whilst turning up the heat to make sure that the head was boiling properly. Now that is completely mad.
He's really done a number on you, hasn't he?
You mistake me, Mr. J. He's not my friend. I know who he is.
Do you?
Right, well, there's nothing else.
Listen, if he can convince a jury that he was out of his mind somehow, then he only gets manslaughter. He goes to a hospital, and then in 15 years he's been cured and he's back out on the streets. Is that justice for the victims and their families? that happens, can you live with yourself? Because I know I can't.
I'll drop the exercise books off at the station.
I mean, we have a murder weapon. Tie it attached to a knotted rope.
Seems pretty preemptive to me.
Okay, good. What else?
We've got Duffy's knives.
Nilson let him rust in his back garden so they could never be traced back to mine.
But that shows knowledge of wrongdoing, therefore criminally sane.
That's a stretch. What about these books from Masters? Surely there's got to be something in here.
The tragedy of the monochrome man. I mean, most of it's rambling nonsense. They help the defence, if anything.
What about Douglas Stewart?
The press will have a field day with what happened to Stewart.
Police embarrassment is hardly relevant now. We have to use him. What else?
What about the Soho project?
What about it?
A woman called. Thinks someone in her therapy group could be a possible victim, but I thought we weren't looking for them anymore.
Okay, Steve and I will follow that up. Is that our lot?
Paul Nobbs, in his statement, says Dennis Nilson.
Sorry to have called. It's just he's been having this recurring dream. But actually, I think he's been attacked.
Okay.
I hope I'm not wasting your time.
All right if we have a word with him?
Go easy on him, okay?
Of course. What's his name?
Carl.
All right.
I'm in a dark room. I don't know where. And there's music, but it's calm. And then this man appears. And I can't see his face, but he's very close to me. But I'm not afraid because I'm warm. I'm wrapped up in some kind of sleeping bag. And then, all of a sudden, I feel something around my neck, digging into my throat and choking me. And I can hear him saying, "Just stay still." And then everything goes dark. But then, after a while, I feel something on my face, sort of like a dog licking me or something.
Can you remember what breed?
No.
Carl? Have you seen this man?
Yeah, on the news.
Yeah, his name is Dennis Nilson. He killed 15 young men and attempted to kill 7 others. All of these men were strangled, mostly with a tie or a headphone cord. But one he tried to kill with a sleeping bag.
No. Because the man in my dream keeps telling me not to get caught up in the zip.
He also said he attempted to drown him before resuscitating him.
I've never told anyone about the water.
Do you remember the water?
Yeah. It was cold water, and I was being held down.
Where? In a bath or a sink?
I don't understand. Are you telling me that this actually happened?
Yes. I think you were one of Nilson's attempted victims. Because everything that you are telling us aligns to what he told us. Now, can you remember where you met him or anything about where he lived?
Well, no.
Now, you said he warned you about the sleeping bag. What did he say exactly?
I don't know.
When he warned you about the zip, that shows he was planning it way before he did it, so I need you to be clear. Come on, just try to remember.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Look, you have to. I know this is tough, but we need all the details.
Detective.
Just think.
Detective, he's told you he's had enough.
I'm aware of that, but I'm just trying to.
We can't use him. No, he won't survive cross-examination. You saw him in there. He'll destroy him. I'll come back in a couple of days, see if I can get a statement from him, and we can read that out in court. Right, if we need to. Peter, we have enough. Right, he led us to the bodies, for fuck's sake.
For the first day of the trial of Dennis Nilson, the unassuming civil servant who's charged with crimes that have shocked and sickened the nation. Nilson is charged with 6 murders and 2 attempted murders. Details of a recently identified 7th victim, Graham Allen, a heroin addict and petty criminal, will not be featured on the indictment.
What's it like being friends with a serial killer? What's it like rubbing shoulders with a murderer, man?
Steve? You all right?
Good.
Sleep okay?
No, I never do.
Oh, here he is, Brian Masters, biographer of the murderer of the century. See the press outside? Jesus, they'll have headlines for weeks. Reveling in the case like carrion. One of the papers today had the headline, House of Horrors, the trial. Only House of Horrors I've ever seen is number 10 Downing Street. They mention you and all.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah? How do you feel being talked about in a national newspaper?
You wanted to see me?
Aye, they brought me my suit but no tie. I was wondering if I could borrow yours.
Right.
I know it's an ask, but you know, an open neck shirt, no, it's the kind of impression I want to give out on the first day of the trial.
Right, I'll leave it with the guard.
My saviour. I started out with 15 ties, but no, the police had them all in evidence.
You, the members of the jury, will be asked to ascertain this man's state of mind at the time of the killings, and to decide, as a result, if he is guilty of the murder of 6 innocent young men, or merely of their manslaughter. That Mr. Nilson killed these men is not contested by the defense. They will argue, however, that he was out of his mind when he committed his crimes, and that he cannot be held truly accountable. But I intend to prove that Mr. Nilson not only knew what he was doing, but that these crimes were premeditated and carefully planned. He lured 15 innocent young men back to his home before cruelly murdering them. Mr. Nilson is no madman. He is intelligent and rational, possessing the skills to conceal his crimes and manipulate those around him. He is, in short, an experienced and calculating killer.
I've spent a total of 14 hours with Dennis Nilson on 16 separate occasions since his arrest.
You are a forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Hardy.
Correct.
Could you share with the court the clinical evaluation you made of the defendant during these many meetings? Did you find, for example, any evidence of mental abnormality?
Quite the reverse. I formed the impression very quickly that he was a highly intelligent man. In my view, Nilson possesses an extremely rational mind. He's capable of feeling very deeply and concealing these feelings in order to preserve appearances.
Thank you. No further questions, my lord.
Dennis Nilson killed perhaps 15 young men for no apparent reason. He kept their bodies, bathed and dressed them, watched television programs with them, conversed with them about those programs. You say you find no evidence of mental disturbance.
Of course, strangling people is not normal behavior.
While Nilson was on remand, he made a series of protests and complaints about his treatment in Her Majesty's prison, Herne Hill. Would you not agree that this shows markedly paranoid tendencies?
Perhaps, in some cases.
And in this case, in fact, his behavior became so extreme, so erratic, that he was recently put down as a suicide risk. Could you tell us, Dr. Hardy, who the psychiatrist was who recommended this step?
I did.
So, would you not agree that someone at risk of suicide is, by definition, suffering a mental disorder?
I suppose in strict terms, that is true.
Thank you. No further questions, my lord.
Miss Mead?
They're using what happened to Graham, making it all public. But he doesn't get justice.
I know. Look, there are certain details about his case that can...
You didn't give a shit about him when you thought he was just a junkie who OD'd in a squat or a bedsit somewhere. But now, you're gonna bring up every little detail.
Sorry.
No, you're not. You haven't any fucking idea of what you've put me through. And he won't even get justice. All you lot care about is you're the people that caught Dennis Nilson.
Pete, we're back in.
So, Mr. Stewart, after meeting him in the Golden Lion, Mr. Nilson suggested that you both go back to his residence to continue drinking.
That's right. 195 Melrose Avenue. I remember it very clearly.
And what happened next?
Well, we had a couple more pints. He offered me vodka, but I said it's not my drink. Then he asked me to go to bed with him. Well, I said that wasn't my thing either. So I fell asleep on the sofa. I woke up, must have been a few hours later, and my ankles were tied together with a tie. Nilson was kneeling on my chest, trying to strangle me. But I fought him off. Oh, I wasn't going down without a fight.
How did he respond to that?
I started shouting, "Take my money, take my money!" Really loud like.
But you weren't stealing from him?
It seemed like he was trying to make the neighbours think he was being attacked himself.
He was trying to create an alibi. Hardly the act of a man out of his mind. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. No further questions, my lord?
In your police statement, Mr. Stewart, you said you stayed for another drink with Nilson. Another drink after he allegedly tried to kill you?
I thought that was the best way to calm him down.
I see. You mentioned earlier that you remembered seeing the address as 195 Melrose Avenue. How did you remember the address so clearly?
I saw the number on the door.
You also told us that when you met him in the pub, the defendant introduced himself to you as Dennis.
Yeah.
And that when you got to his house to continue your drinking session together, he offered you vodka.
That's right.
Unfortunately, none of these things are true, are they? The defendant's first name may be Dennis, but he always calls himself Des. He always drinks rum, not vodka, and there is no number plate on the house at Melrose Avenue. There never has been.
I don't know. I thought there was.
But you seemed so sure of the details before. And why might that be? Why might someone go to the trouble of furnishing their testimony with a great deal of specific detail? Seems to be pulled from thin air. I put it to you, Mr. Stewart, that your testimony to this court is nothing more than a pack of lies dreamt up to satisfy a tabloid newspaper.
Well, Mr. Stewart, have you sold your story?
Yes.
No further questions, my lord.
How dare he? Standing up there in that ridiculous suit, spouting those lies.
So you're saying that Douglas Stewart is lying? That you didn't try and kill him?
Yes, I did. But not as he described it. This is about absolute truth, Brian. Has to be, otherwise we don't get any answers.
You cannot possibly believe that what you put him through out there was justified.
What are you getting so agitated about? I'm giving you a one-all final act for your book. And like you said about the book, Brian, it's not up to us to make subjective decisions. We have to remain objective in all of this. Thus, it is up to the jury to decide whether I'm just bad or outrageously bad.
See you back in chambers. Thank you. Do you know it sold the story to the press?
Of course I didn't.
Lucky the judge didn't strike his testimony from the record.
It can't have harmed us that much, right?
Stewart's credibility's gone. His testimony's now useless. We're in a lot of trouble.
Surely we still have enough. I mean, we have the tie with the knotted rope and Duffy's knives. All those show premeditation to murder.
Physical evidence is all very good and well, but it's also circumstantial. We had an eyewitness, a survivor, and without that, we're significantly weaker. Sorry.
Hello, Carl. Can I come in? How have you been?
Things keep coming back to me.
What kind of things?
He said he liked my shoes.
Thank you.
The doctor said it was all nightmares caused... I'd had a bit of a hard time with an ex of mine. They even put me on tablets to block everything out.
Listen, Carl, the trial isn't going how we'd hoped. We think your testimony could be crucial.
But I've already given my statement. The man said that would be enough.
I know, but we need you to give it in court.
What, with him there?
You wouldn't have to be close to him.
What? No, I can't.
Carl.
He killed me, Mr. J. And then he brought me back to life.
I can't imagine what you've been through, Carl. I really can't. But please believe me, if he gets a lesser sentence, you'll find no peace.
I'm sorry, I can't be in the same room as him. I can't go back there.
And they'll subpoena you anyway. You'll be forced to testify.
So I don't have a choice. I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Could you recount, Mr. Stotter, the events of that night in April 1982 when you met the defendant? Where, for example, did you meet Mr. Nilson?
In the Black Cat in Camden. I was depressed. I'd just broken up with someone.
Speak up, please, Mr. Stotter.
He was nice to me.
In what sense was he nice?
He bought me drinks. He asked me about my family.
He asked if you had family.
Yes. And then he invited me back to his flat for a drink. We just drank a lot, and then he said I could go to sleep on his bed. And then he warned me not to get caught in the zip of the sleeping bag.
Why do you think that was? Was it perhaps because he was planning an alibi in case you managed to
Objection,
escape?
my lord. Leading.
Sustained.
Tell us what happened next.
I woke up and I couldn't breathe. He was behind me, and I could feel something digging into my neck. The pressure got worse, and the pain was unbearable. I couldn't see, or speak, or swallow, and I could hear him saying, "Keep still." The next thing I knew, I was in water, in a bath, being pushed down again and again, and I didn't know where I was or what was happening, and I swallowed water. Couldn't resist anymore, and I realized that I was dying.
Thank you, Mr. Stotter. No further questions, my lord.
You have an alter ego, Mr. Stotter, do you not? Cara LaFox. A drag act. You are a female impersonator.
I used to be, yes.
You've already been asked, Mr. Stotter, if you could speak up for the benefit of the court.
Yes. But since the attack, I'm not able to sing anymore.
And you had several relationships with men, including one which became abusive. Your night with Nilson was, therefore, not your first violent homosexual encounter.
My lord, I must object to this line of questioning.
A history of deviant encounters raises the possibility of a sex game gone wrong, my lord.
Sustained. Move on, Mr. Lawrence.
Now, could you tell us, Mr. Stotter, where you woke up after you had been in the bath?
On the bed?
On the bed. And was the room warm or cold?
Warm.
Nilson had heated the room, had he not? He had put on all the bars on the electric fire.
Yes. I suppose so.
And how long after you woke up did you leave the flat?
Well, I kept falling asleep, so maybe 1 or 2 days.
1 or 2 days? Did Nilson keep you under duress?
No, but I was very confused and also in a lot of pain.
Did he, in fact, walk you to the tube station when you wanted to go?
Yes.
This supposedly cold and calculating killer, with every opportunity to finish the job, instead let you sleep in a warm bed for days before seeing you home safely. In fact, aside from the incident itself, did he not show you more care and kindness that evening than anyone else in your life had done for a very long time?
Yes. That's what I can't understand. Is he my murderer or my savior?
How peculiar that is. No further questions, my lord.
You may step down, Mr. Stotter.
You did really well in there.
Listen, Carl, I want to go home now.
He should have killed you, you queer!
Mr. J? I feel I owe you an apology. You were right. He's not insane. He knew exactly what he was doing, as much then as he does now.
Detective, are you confident?
You'll get justice for the victims, Detective.
And in the following days, you interviewed him at length, is that correct?
Yes, we interviewed him for a total of 31 hours.
And in those 31 hours, did Mr. Nilson ever mention visions or voices in his head telling him to commit his crimes?
No.
Did he ever show any signs at all of being out of his mind, so to speak, or mentally unwell in any way?
No, quite the opposite, in fact. He seemed calm, collected, in control.
Hardly a madman?
No.
Detective Chief Inspector J, could you please tell the court, for how long have you been a police officer?
Almost 23 years.
And based on those years of experience, what is your professional opinion of Dennis Nilson?
I've seen criminals in all shapes and sizes. When they're on remand, they ask to be visited by all sorts of people. Priests, rabbis, imams. I even had a fellow who asked for a shaman. Because most of them are just wanting forgiveness. Mr. Nilson's only visitor in the 8 months whilst he was on remand was a biographer. In my opinion, he's a remorseless coward who killed innocent and vulnerable men as they slept.
Thank you, Detective Chief Inspector. No further questions, my lord.
Detective Chief Inspector, you say you interviewed Nilson for 31 hours, yes?
That's right.
In all that time, of him talking almost incessantly, did he ever mention planning the murders at all?
No.
No further questions, my lord.
You may step down, officer.
Thank you.
We have an old Latin phrase in the law, res ipsa loquitur. The act speaks for itself. What sort of man kills people, lives with their bodies rotting under the floorboards, and flushes pieces of them down the lavatory? Do these seem to you the actions of a man in his right mind? If you think, as we invite you to think, and as the evidence surely shows, that these crimes were not planned or premeditated, but were due to Nilson's seriously abnormal personality and way of thinking, then you will find him not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter by way of diminished responsibility. That is the verdict which we invite you to return.
What's taking them so long?
Same again. We want.
Madam Foreman of the jury, have you reached verdicts on which you all agreed?
No, we have not.
Might you reach a verdict if the court sits until early evening?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Very well, you will retire overnight. The court will reconvene in the morning, where I will accept a majority verdict.
More time's now been spent on what's possibly wrong with Dennis Nilson than what he's actually done. a man who has described himself as the murderer of the century. A defense psychiatrist said Nilson acted as if he were the judge judging this case of an infamous crime. He shows off. He really believes he is the most important person of the century. The defense expert found another way of describing Nilson's mind. His personality was like his house. It looked perfectly all right from the outside, but perhaps there was something of a funny smell about it. And when you looked under the floorboards, you would find horrors.
Jury is returning.
Would the foreman of the jury please stand? Madam Foreman, do you have a majority on your verdicts?
We do.
On the charge of the murder of Stephen Sinclair, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the murder of Kenneth Ockenden, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the murder of John Howlett, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the murder of Martin Duffy, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the murder of Billy Sutherland, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the murder of Malcolm Barlow, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the attempted murder of Douglas Stewart, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
On the charge of the attempted murder of Paul Nobbs, how do you find the defendant?
Guilty.
Dennis Andrew Nilson, your victims were innocent young men, guilty only of accepting your hospitality, whereupon you ended their lives cruelly and callously for reasons that will remain known only to you. The sentence for murder is fixed in law. It is imprisonment for life. And that is the sentence which I pass on you on each count of this indictment. Take him down. Yes?
Mr. J. Well done. Went down to the wire at the end, didn't it? Must be pleased it's over.
If at any time in the future you remember any more names, please write to me.
I promise you'll be the first to know. I think the jury got it right in the end. Yeah. I don't think I'm mad. If you hadn't called me that day, it'd be 150, not 15. I could never have stopped.
Okay.
Good luck.
What will you do with it all?
Oh, I don't know. Chuck most of it, probably. Mr. J, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Go on.
When you first met him, did you believe him straight away?
Yes, I did.
What went through your mind at that moment?
Well, I thought, Honestly, the first thing I thought was, I hope that I'm up to this. Don't put that in your book.
You have my word. And about my book.
No, look, it's fine. We both had our way of looking at this.
Oh, what will they do with this place?
I don't know. Sell it or rent it out, I'd imagine.
Who'd want to live here? It's, there's the smell, for one thing.
Do you know the worst thing? I don't smell it anymore. I'll see you outside.
So, how have you been?
I know. Adjusting to being a permanent resident and all. Apart from that, not too bad. I read your book, my book.
What did you think?
To be honest, Brian, I found it absolutely terrifying. Well, it's good. Much better than I expected. Of course, I have some thoughts. Please don't be discouraged by my observations. I've lost none of my respect or admiration for you. All your work.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm sure it'll be very helpful.
My biggest concern is you didn't name any of the victims.
No, I wanted to respect their privacy.
Well, I think it's disrespectful not to name them. I robbed them of their lives. Please don't rob them of their identities. And the title. Killing for company is a little... Yeah. Should just be Nilson.
No.
Why not? The book is about me, after all.
I'm not going to call it Nilson. This isn't your book. It's not about you. It's about how someone like you came to be. Now, I told you when we first met that I wasn't going to use grisly or emotive adjectives, and I have stuck to my word. But make no mistake, this isn't a celebration. It's a warning.
You know, there were only 12 victims, not 15. I sat in the back of the police car and at my arrest. He asked me how many there were, and I wasn't very sure, so I just gave him a figure, 15 or 16. And three of those victims were invented. Just to complement the continuity of evidence for the police. Keep them happy. Everybody's had a chance to write their version of my story. When's it my turn?
I'll send you a copy when it's published.
Come and see me again.
If you've been affected by the issues raised in this programme, you'll find details of organisations offering support on our website, stv.tv/advice.